Hello guys, yeah, welcome back. So this was another very quick setup that I took or that I caught and traded actually, and I'm going to be showing you the whole ideology behind it, and it is a very easy one, trust me. Like, you don't even need to think so much about it, you just need to understand something. Now, I don't know if you've possibly heard in some of my trades where I said when you see an expansion, you don't expect the market to sell from the extreme again, or sorry, when you see an expansion, which is a very rapid impulse or a dead low candle, like some persons know it, you don't expect the markets to sell or buy from the extreme again. You start looking for what closer ranges, right? So now let's say we have something like this, and then the market just rapidly sells like this. Like this, let's just imagine this is a dead low candle, right? A very long candle. Now some persons will be looking to put their order blocks here. Like, targeting that particular zone is what's very, very wrong, because the market will not even come to that place. Although there are exceptions to this, because pairs like NAS and US 30 tend to like kind of like act out. Do you get? They tend to act out. So markets will not do this. Markets will not do this, right? Markets would not do this. So this is a big no, right? So when there is an expansion in price, you start to look for two things exactly. Either you start looking for breaker blocks or mitigation blocks, any of them. So we should be looking to take our trades from around any of this area and not the extreme anymore. There are cases where you start to look for entries from the extreme, right? And you could actually read that in a few trades that I've dropped. Although in this video, I'm going to also show you cases where you start looking to take your trades from the extreme. So this particular one is what some of you might know as what your breaker block, right? Some of you might know this as a breaker block, but when it occurs in this way, where market does something like this, and then market does something like this, right? And then boom, sells down very rapidly. You take what your trades from around this area, not this extreme, and we can actually call this one what mitigation blocks, right? Mitigation blocks after market has failed to swing. So this one was caught via a breaker block, a very easy one. In fact, just whether I call it a breaker block or a mitigation block, all those things are just terms. You just need to understand the concept that whenever I see you can see that this particular trade now was a very easy one. If I had taken this particular extreme as my point of interest, right? Some persons will be like, okay, market actually swept liquidity of this high, right? Market swept liquidity there. So we should be expecting price to come here and pick us, not knowing that a particular what impulse had already happened here, or expansion or manipulation, whichever one you like to call it, had already happened there. That particular place I'm highlighting with orange, right? Had already happened there, and then you're looking to take your trades from that particular place, right? It doesn't work. So that is actually one very, very crucial thing you should actually know. This was the same thing that happened in USD CAD, and I'm going to show you now. So how did I actually target? You can see that I took my targets from here, from this particular liquidity level here. You can see there's a liquidity pool around this place. So that's where I actually took my targets or my profits, anything you would like to call it. So some persons might be confused on how I got the entry. So this particular tool is called a Gann box. This particular tool is called a Gann box. This particular tool helps you precisely mark out 50% of the order block, and it also helps you identify your execution range. I think that is something we've not treated before. Execution range. When price has not gotten to your execution range, it is possibly advised to just wait until price gets to the premium or the execution range, as I like to call it, right? So this Gann box is very, very important. It's a very necessary tool. If you don't have it, it looks like this. It looks like this. So this is the settings. I'll open my settings for you in case you want to set yours like my own. You can see possibly everything is just pink and peach and all that, right? You can actually customize your own the way you want it, but 0 mark should be left on, 0.5 mark should be left on, and then 1% should be left on. Or you can actually just change this thing to percentages, right? You can change them to percentages, right? So that is that. So I'll show you how I actually mark that out, because this Gambox tool is very, 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 very essential when you're actually trading mitigation blocks and other blocks, because mitigation and breaker blocks, because it can help you precisely mark out 50% of your order block, and then you can know where to actually take your trades from. So now, if you actually look here, now can see that these particular places, can see the market actually tells a sweep that happened here, right? And we can see this particular place. Now I have to clear one of these obstructions. So this is how I use my Gambox. This is how I use my Gambox, right? Now I actually do what? I actually take my Gambox. Now this is the other block we're actually considering, this particular block. That is the block we are considering, right? That is the block we are considering. So I take my Gambox. If I actually want to get the most precise entry, right? Now, judging from valid order blocks, from one of my trades, I wrote this trade long ago. I told you guys that the order block must take liquidity off pre-existing blocks, but you should actually start from you should start from the sponsor candle and mark it down to the liquidity clearing candle. So if I get my Gambox, I mark from above here, from the top of the order block, down to this liquidity clearing candle wick, right? And then I can actually draw my order block. So let's just assume this was not here. Let's assume this was not here. So now this is actually drawn perfectly. Take my Gambox from the top of this black candle, the sponsor candle, down to the base of the liquidity clearing candle, to the base of the liquidity clearing candle. Then I have to mark out 50% of it, which is the premium. This is the premium level. I have to mark the discount level or the premium level, whichever one you like to call it. I have to mark out 50% of it, more like I'm refining, right? Because there's a theory that says price will always react to 50% of the order block, the breaker block, or the mitigation block, right? So when price has mitigated, it always reacts most times, although there are exceptions, nothing is ever 100%. It always reacts to 50% of the block. So that is why I always use, if you've actually seen most of my trades with breaker blocks or mitigation blocks, you always see this Gambox very close, right? So take that, and boom, you can see that was a very clean sniper. Price didn't even hesitate to actually sell. And if you leverage this on your MT4 or your MT5, you're in for like stupid money. You're in for a lot of money, trust me. If you leverage this properly with good risk, this is possibly like a 5-hour trade. If you risk $200 on this, very easy, because this trade actually took a day to play out. You should be making at least $1,000 in a day, which is 200 times 5. Here is not a risk management class. I would have done the calculation for you, right? So that is how I actually framed this particular trade, with an expansion. There are a lot of them. I've done multiple trades talking about this expansion type of trades. Then this USD CAD, I dropped it yesterday on my page, and I had most of you interact with it, right? And you can see that it's actually doing well. Right? So the same thing happened. I think I also dropped it on the group where I'm with Sarah and some of my other friends, and they were like, why did you take your trade from there? And I was like, I'm just considering just majorly the expansion. Now, because this expansion actually happened here, guys, I think I don't need that for anything. Okay, yeah. Now, because this expansion happened here, right? Now, look at this expansion. Look at this impulse for, what did I pick? Let me pick the other block, sorry. Because this expansion happened here, change this to impulse, this yellow. Because this, you can see the expansion correctly, yeah? Because the expansion happened here, right? let me clear this. You've seen the setup, right? You've seen the setup because I'm about to delete it, right? I'm about to delete it, start afresh to show you how I actually framed this particular setup. Now, because the expansion happened there, I'm not looking to sell here again. I'm not looking for price to come to this particular level. I'm not looking for price to come towards this particular level before I could actually take my buy order, because when the expansion happens, it just signals to me that any of the nearest blocks, the price would actually take, right? Any of the nearest blocks, and the nearest block is this particular one. And then you can see what is that candle there. I have signaled this a lot of times that this particular candle is a very important one. It's a very important one. This is the hammer, the inverted hammer, or the hammer, any candle that is a pin bar. A pin bar is very, very important. So because this particular place, I will not be taking it, because why? I have seen an impulse. So this particular place was ruled out for me, cancelled, right? So now you can see price has changed structure here. In fact, let's just mark here out. Let's mark here out. There's been a break of structure. There's been a break of structure. Now, this expansion, now this is a classic AMA setup. Accumulation, manipulation, and then advanced, right? There's the other block I'm targeting above here, but until then. So we are targeting this internal range liquidity above here. That is where we are targeting, right? That is where we are targeting. So look at this setup and then you see something. Now let us proceed, right? Let's proceed. So what happened was that now this particular pair started receding down to pick orders. Now I would actually consider, most likely consider this particular place, right, as my point of interest to enter, right? And you can see how price just respected that zone very, very carefully. Now, what did I tell you guys about Gambox? I think because I posted this particular pair on Twitter. That was why I did not actually use Gambox, because I didn't want anybody to ask me questions like, why did you use 50% and all that? But if it were to be on my MT4 and MT5, how I set the order was the 50% mark that I used, and it's triggered very, very cleanly, right? So if you get your Gambox, mark from the beginning of this pin bar to the end of the pin bar, right? You can see that it precisely gives me 50% of the premium place, or the premium area there. So I just mark this particular place out, and then you can see that you even now have a lesser risk to reward, a higher risk to reward than you would have if you just marked out the entire pin bar, right? So this trade was also a very easy one. In fact, expansion trades are very easy ones. When I see expansion trades, I just know it's a day to make money, right? Because once I leverage appropriately, I'm in for a lot of cash that day. So we can just place our SL slightly below this candle. This particular impulse candle now serves as an invalidation zone for us, just because I would not want to see price go beyond, that level. So this particular impulse candle level serves as an invalidation zone for me. So I just place my SL slightly below it. Place my SL slightly below it, and then I'm targeting the internal range liquidity, right above here, and boom, can see a very, very clean setup with not so much stress, not so much work, not so much thinking. So in the next video, I will show you guys something else. I think we've talked about inducements, we've talked about liquidity, we've talked about expansions now and all that, right? How expansions can help you get very easy trades. Let's talk about something more interesting in the next one.